This is More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people.
We welcome you into another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. Thank you so much for supporting our podcast and following me all over social media. And when I say I'm all over. Just look at all the icons on the bottom of the screen and you'll see you can follow me pretty much anywhere. And of course, you can stream this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We would like to thank our sponsors, the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis, one of the most haunted places in all of North America. Team Jakey, which is a local organization hoping to end the stigma of mental illness and hopefully prevent suicides. They know all too well, closely in their family, how it affects everybody. Our thanks to STL Medical Weight Loss for supporting More to Say. And of course, the Mostly Superheroes podcast starring Logan Janis, who is also the producer of this podcast. So without further ado, today we're talking about something that kind of had a lot of discussions, like people are popping the question and getting married and presenting the ring and all that other good stuff. So today we want to talk about diamonds, not only regular diamonds that come out of the ground, but lab-grown diamonds. What's the difference? Is there a difference? Is there an advantage? Is it a fake diamond? All those questions we're going to answer with our next guest. This is Michael Haddad. He is the president of the Diamond Family, which is a luxury jeweler here in the St. Louis area. And Michael, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Randy. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, first of all, I want to talk about the history of the Diamond Family because you guys, your family started this business. When was it? Back in 1970 something. I got it written down.
78, yeah.
There you go. I can't find it, but
almost a 5-decade run so far.
That's crazy. Tell us about the history of your family and how you all got into the diamond or the jewelry business and how it continues to this day.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. I love talking about the history. I'm like,
I know you do.
A very proud member of the Haddad family. But end of the day, you got to give credit where it is due. And my dad, Rocky, and my mother, Nahed, basically, are immigrants from Egypt. So dad came to America in, I want to say like 1976 or something, and went to LA. And at that time, my uncle, he's not really my uncle, but basically in our culture, anybody older that's Egyptian, you just say uncle or aunt.
Okay, so anyway, all right, I learned something there.
It's my uncle, like cultural quirk there. But basically, he had a chain of a bunch of very luxury high-end stores in the Los Angeles area. So my dad was working there and, doing some side stuff. Ken then met my mother, moved to St. Louis for her. And it is literally the good old-fashioned American dream. Like you just work your ass off and, oh, sorry, I don't know.
You're okay. This is not Fox 2. We're good.
Okay. So just a classic case of a guy that rolled up his sleeves and wanted to create a life for his family. No better place to do that than the United States of America, and it worked. So he would basically take gold chains to flea markets, and he would do that on the weekends, and then was a gym teacher actually in the day, while my mother was a special ed teacher. And saved up enough money to begin his first store. It was a really small, like 1 or 2 cases, and it was in that industrial area of Westport Plaza. And he would basically sell to other jewelers. And so we were wholesale at first. And then, once you have a brick and mortar, eventually people just start noticing it and walk in the door. And that just grew and grew. And then built his first beautiful store in 1978. So yeah, all at 78 was that's a year or two of history before 1978. And then the gates opened at our first retail store. We've been in the Manchester Baldwin area for the whole time. So we've bounced around probably 5 or 6 locations in this corner of the 1400 block of Manchester. And then it has just grown and grown. I'm just blessed. All I had to do was step into his role and not screw it up.
And you're not the only one. You and your brothers are still involved. Was there ever a thought in your brains that, yeah, I don't want to do that? Dad did that his whole life. We've been around it our whole life. Did you ever want to do something else? Or obviously you were born into this. So was there ever a doubt that this is your path?
I'm surprised you and I haven't spoken on this because we talk other than we're friends outside of this podcast. So Yeah, Randy, I didn't want to do it. I watched how hard he worked his whole life,
Yeah,
and um, end of the day, what happened was I got out of college. I'm the oldest of the brothers. So when I got out of college, I had already secured my like dream job. So I wanted to be an expat where you work for an American firm and get paid in US bucks, but you're overseas somewhere. So I
oh,
got a job with Frito-Lay. I was going to work in Ecuador, being like a manager out there, but I had like 2 months until I was going to start. So, you know me, like I can't sit still. I'm not the
no,
lazy
I do
type.
know you
Yeah.
about, I do know that about you.
So he's like, hey, come help out around here. And at the same time, my aunt was like his right hand, and they were moving back to Washington, D.C. So kind of needed the help anyway. But once I got involved, I just absolutely fell in love with it. It's, of course, it's a lot of growing pains, like learning how to work around my
Sure.
dad, and that like in that struggle between old school and new school, and and then it just worked once we navigated through how to talk to each other in a work environment. I absolutely was like, I can do this and I could crush this.
Well,
The
yeah,
pe-
and you guys are. If anybody steps into the store, you could see, first of all, it exudes luxury, comfort, welcoming. Your inventory is amazing. You do carry some pieces that have Egyptian provenance and estate pieces as well, but you have a ton of things on display. Is it true that you have the largest selection of engagement rings there?
I don't know exactly what other stores have in their cases, but I would say we're in regards to value, yeah. I mean, it's up there.
Okay, good.
We have so much inventory, it's ridiculous. That's my problem. Like all the consultants are like, "Why do you have this much? You don't need this much." But now with gold being so high, there is a seed in my head that like I could probably melt this stuff and break even or make a buck. So
You
in
wouldn't want to
general,
do
we
that. It's
just
too pretty.
I know it stinks. So yeah, we have and now we're actually literally Monday, my consultant was in St. Louis and he's like, we need more bridal area. So I might have to give up my office and remodel and make cases there, which is a great blessing to have and a great situation to be running
Yes, it
into.
is.
But no, I mean, honestly, Randy, I'm a big like advocate of the industry itself. There are a lot of great jewelers in town, a lot of great family operated stores, and a lot of them have a big inventory of engagement rings as well. But I would say from a family-based perspective, if we're not the biggest or not the most inventory, we're darn close, you know.
Okay, so I want to get into the meat and potatoes of why I wanted to talk to you because I hear things about lab grown diamonds, synthetic diamonds. It's not a real diamond. So you are here to help dispel the myth, I guess the proposed myth that people think of it as. Um, let's talk about lab grown diamonds. First of all, what are they?
Great question. My God, that this has rocked our industry. I mean, it's flipped it
Oh, I
completely
get what you
upside
did
down.
there. Rocked your industry.
No
Yeah.
pun intended, huh? So basically, these came out probably 10 years ago. Now, truth is, they've been around for many, many, many years, but never could get it to be gem quality to where you could use it in a ring. They've made like the diamond blade saws and stuff like that with man-made diamonds for years. But once it was perfected to be a gemstone that could be used for engagement rings or jewelry, that's about 10 years ago. So and then there was this, we are governed by FTC guidelines. Okay. So the word
What is
synthetic,
FTC? Federal Trade Commission.
Federal Trade
Okay.
Commission.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the amount of detail and processes you have to go through to even sell a product is abundant in our industry. Like there's so much background work that has to go into how we enter data and how it comes up on the receipt and how an appraisal is done. So the word synthetic would would not apply to a lab grown diamond.
Oh,
When
okay.
it says the word diamond, then we know that it is either natural or man made. In other countries, they can't call it a lab grown diamond. They have to call it a synthetic. So like in Europe, they don't acknowledge it as a diamond. They call it a synthetic, which is a material that is made to look like another material, similar to a CZ or a moissanite.
Right.
They're different minerals, okay? Where a lab grown is taking a microscopic diamond seed, which is natural, and goes into these machines. There's multiple ways to make them, but this is the most popular. Um, and it's this carbon vapor disposition where this vapor comes out of the machine, it grows on that seed, and you end up with a diamond. And now, in about 8 or 9 years ago, then the FTC jumped on board with it and allowed the industry to actually call it a diamond as long as the word lab grown or man made is ahead of the word diamond.
So the DNA of the diamond, whether lab grown or mined, is pretty much the same.
Absolutely. So we have a really funny way of dumbing it down. Okay. Now
Please
people
do.
know, everyone does, not everybody, but everyone knows at least what IVF is to make a baby. All right. Well, if you go to IVF clinic and make a baby, end of the day, that baby, you can't tell when he or she is born that it was made with IVF. You end up with a real human baby that has all of the exact same features of a naturally born baby. But if you really got into it, you could find out, but as a family, that
Yeah,
may
you could do a
with the
deeper
IVF
dive.
process, right? But when you look at them in regular life, nobody can tell. So it's a
Right.
really simple way to just say it's IVF for diamonds. Now, yes, there is a difference, but it's such a above our heads. Like you're talking about the machines and the testing. Like I had to buy this $10,000 fancy machine to put a stone into it and tell us if it's natural or lab. How to tell the difference to me is common sense. Okay, so think about it this way: if you walk in here with a 3 carat, 4 carat round diamond, and it is absolutely perfect, and it's DEF color, really high clarity, cut perfectly, we're just going to assume that you are either an absolute baller walking around St. Louis with this $200,000 diamond, or it's a lab grown, okay? Because they're made perfectly. If you could grow lab grown diamonds in your basement, then wouldn't you make them all perfect? Because it doesn't cost you any more. So that's the way I explain it to people, is that you cannot see the difference when you're walking around on the street. They do look the same. They look wonderful because a lot of them are cut by machines, so there's no margin for error. They're all just magnificent. The main difference is the price.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's Randy Naughton from the More to Say podcast with another sponsor shout out. When is the last time you've been to the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis? Did you know it is one of the most haunted places in all of North America with an incredible history? It's a beautiful building, first of all, and they've got so many events. When's the last time you've been there? They've got boozy bingo, holiday brunches, events like weddings and parties, a scavenger hunt, overnight stays, if you dare, Spirit with the Spirit tours, and their legendary all-you-can-eat family-style fried chicken dinners on Sundays. It's amazing. So listen, check it out on their website at lempmansion.com. We thank them for supporting our More to Say podcast, and I'll see you at the Lemp. Hi, Randy Naughton here, along with Dr. Joseph Molesky, to tell you about St. Louis Medical Weight Loss. You heard about those weight loss shots? Well, I battle high blood pressure, cholesterol, and prediabetes, so I decided to invest in my health.
Visit stlmedweightloss.com or give us a call.
Hi, everyone. It's Randy Naughton from the More to Say podcast. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast over the tons of episodes we've done so far. Somebody I want to shout out specifically to is an organization called Team Jakey. They are one of the sponsors of the More to Say podcast, and I couldn't be more grateful to be partnering with them. What is Team Jakey? Well, this family, the Zeller family, knows all too well what it's like to lose somebody to suicide. So that happened to them. Their beloved Jake took his own life. And what they want to do, they've set out on a quest to end the stigma of mental illness. So Team Jakey puts together all these amazing community events year round to help raise the awareness and prevent suicide and end the stigma of mental illness. So we would love it if you followed them on Facebook, Team Jakey and the Stigma. And of course, thank you for supporting the More to Say podcast as well. Team Jakey is one of our partners, and we are so happy to have them on board. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the podcast.
Hey there, it's Logan Janis from Mostly Superheroes, the podcast. Whenever you're done with this episode, be sure to go check out our show at mostlysuperheroes.com or by searching Mostly Superheroes podcast on Google, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your shows, really. But mostlysuperheroes.com is where you want to be. Check out our event calendar, our past episodes like reviews of Superman, Fantastic Four, and be sure to listen to the recent episode of More to Say with Randy Naughton, where Randy interviewed me, Logan, on her show, and was even featured on the Big 550 AM KTRS. Randy came on our show a while back. You can still go check that out at mostlysuperheroes.com. From Logan, Arena Andy, Scotty Scoop, Sam the Sleeper, and the Mostly Superhero Squad. Thanks for tuning in to More to Say with Randy Naughton, and check out Mostly Superheroes when you're done. Enjoy the rest of this episode, and take it easy.
Say you had that $200,000 diamond walking around in that ring, what would it cost as a lab-grown diamond?
In today's world, and that's the real, I guess, ethical issue, is that you have to explain to people that yes, it is a diamond, but it is not going to hold value like a natural diamond. The industry has done a great job of convincing people that lab grown or diamonds are an investment, and I'm here to tell you that diamonds are not an investment. They are an asset. Okay, investments, you make money, you read the data, you know what percentage you're going to hopefully make.
Right.
Where they're an investment for jewelers, so we buy them and sell them at a markup and make a profit. But for a consumer to buy a 2 carat round diamond and then think that they're going to be able to make money off of it in the event that they need to lose their job and want to sell it, or it just does not work that way. You'd have to wait a few decades for that to occur.
Yeah.
And the charts go up and down. So it changes, market trends change like they would with anything else. That being said, when they first came out, I did not want to sell them because, you're at a trade show and we're a big store. So whenever I've got my badge on, like if you're the vendor, your boss has told you, like, you better get that Michael guy from the Diamond family. So they're just like hounding me, and well, they were like 25-30% cheaper. So I could buy natural for 10, buy the lab for 7. And I'm like, I don't think that's where I don't think my customer would want that. I'm like, they would just want to spend a few extra grand and get the real deal. Well, then it got to be 50% cheaper and 60% cheaper. And now you're like, okay, if there's a young man in my store, let's say he's 25, 30 years old, he's starting out his life, and the girl is not, telling him, I want a natural. Now he's got some options where he could spend 5 versus 10 and open that ring box up, and it looks the same. So
yeah, they do look the same. It's incredible. Now,
so they start taking off.
Do the 4 C's apply to lab-grown diamonds as they do
Absolutely
mined diamond? So let me see if I remember. It's cut, clarity, color, and composition.
Carat.
I nailed it.
Carat. No, you missed carat, not composition.
Carat.
Yeah.
Okay, carat. Okay,
kind of the big deal for ladies, Randy. Carat is the weight of a diamond, not the size.
Right.
So it's kind of like a pound. But yeah, basically all of them apply. GIA is kind of like the governing body over our industry, Gemological Institute of America, and they would not touch them for the first few years. And then once they said, we will certify these and issue lab reports on them, took off. So because it's just like their stamp of approval. Once they did it, then everybody started selling them, and it just took off.
So what is your percentage of sales, lab grown versus mined diamonds? What would you say is the percentage?
Introduced them, like 70% of our engagement ring sales would have a lab grown center stone. The ring itself would be lab or natural. That would be up to their discretion. But now we're about 50-50. We're doing a pretty darn good job around here of explaining to people, and then you pick. Like, my job is to make sure my staff is telling everybody the real truth, and you can pick whichever option. I don't get emotional about it. A lot of stores say yes or no, we're only doing this or only doing that.
Right.
And then, they bash the people that sell labs, and then the lab people bash the people that say natural.
There's always drama in every industry, isn't there?
Absolutely. So we do both. We even do treated diamonds where it's a hybrid, a combination of both. As long as you're properly explaining it to people, then they have the luxury of getting the best selection. They can see it all in person, and they pick what is best for their marriage or their family or their future.
Or your bank account.
Or your bank account.
Or your bank account. You mentioned
I want to go back to that question about the price now. So if a diamond was 200 grand now in natural, it would be like 5 grand or something. Like it's plummeted.
You
So
you mean you
that's
mean
the
in lab grown? You said
yeah,
natural. In
yeah,
lab
yeah.
grown.
If a natural was, let's just say 100 grand, the exact counterpart in lab, so same color, clarity, weight, cut, everything, would be an absolute fraction of the price. Like it would be drastically less expensive. So instead of the natural being 100 and the lab being 50, the natural is 100 and it's 3 grand or 4 grand.
Wow. Now, are these insurable exactly like mined diamonds, or
Yeah.
is the policy lower, or
So
because let's be honest, you're in my opinion, sure, you're insuring the value of it, but I think the emotional value is larger than the monetary value. That's just me. What do you think?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, especially for women, where it is a symbol of love. He's on his knee one time, hopefully in his life, and it's a memory. It is, yeah. I mean, I did this myself 4 years ago, so I got to go through the same process that all the other guys in the world go through. But in general, you can insure them. Here's the caveat.
Yeah.
If you bought it 5 years ago and you paid 10 grand for it, your appraisal will say 10, which means you're paying a premium based on that number. Well, now if you lose it, the insurance company, they don't just cut you a check for 10 grand unless you have a specific type of stated value policy. They're
Right.
all replacement policies. So now you're paying a premium on 10 and you're furious when you find out that they're going to give you $500 or a grand to replace this thing, but they are technically giving you back what you had. So the issue is
In
that
today's
not,
value.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You're going to get the ring back on your finger. It's just not going to cost them 10 grand, but
Gotcha.
you've already paid this premium on 10. And me nor anybody else can call thousands of customers and say, hey, lab grown prices went down, come in and redo your appraisal. And it is a lot of work. So end of the day, they will, if once they come in or their insurance company says you need to do a new appraisal, then we will redo it and lower the amount so that they pay less of a premium. But it is an industry problem because um, who likes to pay for insurance that you don't need?
Exactly.
So some people just don't do it. If you add up what it costs to pay your insurance premium, all you need to do is pay a premium for like 2 years or something, and you're going to be able to save enough money to just buy that thing over again.
Okay, understood. Another question, you mentioned CZs earlier, cubic zirconia. Let's be clear, lab grown is not cubic zirconia. That's an
No,
entirely different gemstone, right? Natural?
completely different. It's CZ is made of chromium oxide. Diamonds are carbon, so that is a totally different material. I do think that lab growns will eventually get so cheap that CZs and moissanite won't exist. It's
Mm-hmm.
just common sense, like anything made by man in a
Right.
lab. Like we say, the first plasma TV was a 40 inch for 10 grand. Now you can pick one up for $100 at Costco.
That's true.
Uh, it's better than it was when it first started. Same thing happens with labs. The industry gets better and makes them higher quality. And now we're getting into colored diamonds and stuff. Like they really couldn't make a good looking yellow diamond in natural or in lab, and now you cannot tell them apart. So
Hmm.
now we are getting better at it as an industry as a whole, and pricing has just continued to get less expensive and more affordable for people because it is a man-made product.
Okay, we're running out of time here, but I did want to get this question in because I've been in your store and I've seen people come out of your store and I've seen some of the customers who are in your store. And, we were focusing on females and women and engagement bands. You have a huge selection of men's jewelry, and men are becoming more outwardly displaying their diamonds and jewelers. And I mean, men like diamonds too, let's be honest.
Absolutely. It's funny because when I first got into the business, I was working with my dad. And I'm like, we don't even have men's stuff. Like he's like, oh, that was the 80s and 90s. We'd sell gold chains and
Yes.
sell solid gold watches and nugget bracelets and all that stuff. And
Oh
now
my
it
gosh,
has made a
throwback
big,
nugget bracelets. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. I just had a visual.
It has come back. Thank God. I love that men come in here and treat themselves. Now women are always looking for an excuse. Like we're harder to shop for, I think, than for women. So knowing that you can get them a high-end timepiece, timepieces have never gone out of style, but
Right.
jewelry itself, Cuban chains, the rope chains, those are very popular. We do a ton of custom stuff for guys. Everything, even from like the leather bracelets and stuff, we've got some stuff like that. But the store is we we have an area for men. It's mostly women for sure. It's always going to be that way. End of the day, we're like, the whole store's for women, but we got some stuff for men.
Yeah.
But we definitely catered more to the females in the store. But we make a lot of stuff for guys, and they're always in here. It's such a fun store. We call it a home that happens to sell jewelry. So guys,
Yeah.
once they get comfortable, they're just in here on the couch watching TV or sitting on the massage chair.
You've got a big screen, you've got massage chairs, you've got beverages, you've got cocktails sometimes, you have really cool open houses and promotions. So if you haven't visited the Diamond family, I suggest try it at least once. You might find something, and you're like, my ring needs a new stone or a new setting or something like that. I don't know, you just catch yourself browsing and thinking and wishing and hoping and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's an honor. I love just the store being full of people. We have tons of great parties around here. But yeah, it's a full bar every single day. You can come in and make an old fashioned or hang out, have a water, watch TV, whatever.
That sounds
we're
great.
happy to have them however they come.
Well, Michael Haddad from the Diamond family in St. Louis, we thank you very much for enlightening us on mined diamonds versus natural diamonds, I should say, versus lab grown diamonds. It sounds like I think a lot of people gleaned a lot of information from this. So it's like, what's the debate? Is it a real one? Is it not? Yeah, it is real. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate it today.
Thank you so much, Randy. God bless you and have a great rest of the day.
All right, Michael, thank you. And thank you for always supporting the More to Say podcast. We appreciate it. Thanks to our sponsors, the Lump Mansion in St. Louis, Team Jakey, hoping to end the stigma of mental illness, STL Medical Weight Loss, and of course, our podcast producer, Logan Janis, who is also the host of his own podcast called Mostly Superheroes. Until next time.
This has been More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Be sure to like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.